Okay, so this is Erin and myself again, being prompted once again to talk to those who need to hear this information. So if you've been called and drawn to listen to this session, this is for you. So welcome, welcome, welcome. How's it going, Erin?
I'm doing great here. How about you?
Fantastic. Yesterday or the day before, I sent you, while I was just about to start a session with a client, a link to a live footage stream of the protest in New Zealand, in Aotearoa, in Wellington, my home city. So I was literally just a few minutes away from that location. And I only got to watch snippets of it afterwards. But really proud, really proud, really, really, really so proud of people showing up and sharing their voices. And when I saw excerpts of the Haka, I always cry. It is so stirring, it is so passionate, it is so um,
Is
powerful.
that the dance, the New Zealand dance?
Wow, I guess you could say it's a dance, but it is a statement of, um, it's a statement. It is standing strong and in unity.
Yes. It was pretty, it was beautiful. Seeing, the commentators did such a great job and they were so uplifting and positive. And what they said really moved me when they said, you know what? We've got unvaccinated, we've got vaccinated here. They're all intermingling. They're all fighting for each other's choice to make whatever decision they want to make. This is unity. And it was just so beautiful.
The unity factor always is getting always tripping me over with overflowing emotions, because I love that it's not just two sides of a war of vaccinated and unvaccinated, even though we can see that is the manipulation that is being coerced and encouraged on those people who are listening to the mainstream media. Um, but so powerful to see both sides of this health issue actually supporting each other. And your bodies, your choices, not none of my business, none of my business. And if I think that you're a threat to me because of your health choices, I've obviously got some inner work to do. Obviously, I don't trust my team to protect me. Obviously, I don't trust my body to protect me. And I'm feeling like a victim and vulnerable that other people's health choices could get me.
Yeah, it's always appeared to me that wasn't even the real issue. The real issue was the stepping out of line and people being uncomfortable with someone, in their opinion, stepping out of line or not following the rules. That's what it's always appeared like to me. That's the true issue, which is of course social programming, as we know. But it's beautiful to see that thought process really dwindling and the unity consciousness that we're all striving for starting to just blossom, and it's so beautiful. And I've never listened to New Zealand announcers, but they were like super cool. I was like, I love all of these guys.
Yeah, I
They were
felt
really fun.
like I know every single country is, really should have unity and compassion for each other and deep connections, and it shouldn't really be a sort of competition. Um, and we should be able to see every country as just as valid as our own. Of course, we are all very patriotic to our own countries, and I did feel so patriotic when I just responded to you saying, I just love my country. I really love it. And there is always purpose. We choose what country we are born into. We choose all of this for profound significances. It's not an accident where we were born, and it's not an accident where we currently are now. And so it was just so invoking of emotions. And unfortunately, I couldn't have been there in person. I think I would have just cried the entire time if I was there, or worse, got so angry with the situation, I probably would have lashed out and been a hot mess. So, you know, those numbers, of course, they were misrepresented in the mainstream media. They just said there was a few hundred, but it was thousands of people, and thousands of people watching at home who, for various reasons, were there, you know, emotionally supporting those people. But for whatever reason, because you have to work, we couldn't be there in person. But so stirring, so just I've got all the feelings about it. And you know, I just want to say to anyone who's listening who is in New Zealand, we are still protected and covered by the Bill of Rights, and the all of the, you know, the Bill of Rights is very simplistic, very spout out very clearly and firmly, and discrimination is part of our protection. And if you're being discriminated against in any form, this is your current protection. Nothing is going to change the Bill of Rights. Nothing. And unless we had super ridiculously corrupted judges, which I'm working behind the scenes to keep them open, keep their integrity intact and not be coerced, you know, we have to trust. So part of the statement I want to say to everyone is, every day we get a certain amount of energy. Let's just pretend this, right? Every day we are allotted a little bit of energy that we can choose how we want to spend it. Now, buying and using our energy for today into bracing ourselves and fighting battles in our future is probably not the best use of spending our daily energy. So, you know, the old Joe used to worry about every worst case scenario, every situation, and I would prepare myself mentally for all of the problems in the world. And I would feel into it, and I would try to navigate how I would overcome certain scenarios. And you know, I was bracing myself for something really big to happen, just in case it happened, because I didn't like to be surprised. And so I kind of was living in fear for the future, even though I was completely clueless to what was actually in our future. And but I would find I would spend a lot of time thinking about how to prepare myself for the what ifs. And I even made it simpler in terms of my friendships. Like, well, what if they don't like what I'm wearing? Or what if they don't like the furniture I want to buy? Or, you know, like I was always checking everything that I did in reference to how other people would accept it or not accept it. And I really lived to try and please others and to work around what I perceived was their requirements upon me. And so, you know, when I realized I need to live for myself, and those people who can accept me for being me are my true friends and the true people that should be in my life. And I'm not going to kick out those haters, obviously, because there really truly was no haters. It was just my fear that they would judge me, or that I wasn't good enough, or, you know, all of that natural stuff that we sort of all have to some extent and some degree in our lives, potentially, right? So I can just share my journey. And so I was always trying to manage future scenarios and to try and find the easiest road that would you know, make my life not so hectic. But by approaching that way of life, my life was very hectic because I was buying into potential future fears, and none of them ever panned out, which I'm grateful for, since I know the power of manifestation. But you know.
Yeah, I hear that. I used to actually pride myself on preparing for the worst. Not a good use of time or energy, that's for sure. Oh man. And I'm so grateful, man. I was addicted to the news. I was full on addicted for a long time until I woke up. Yeah, what a disaster. I couldn't even identify like, oh, this is actually causing extreme panic and anxiety and looping. And it took me a long time to even identify that because I was so addicted to it.
So that agenda worked for you for that bit of time. So we know how enticing it is to feel that we have to be up to date with whatever threat's going to harm us, and we diligently and loyally listened to our media, thinking that they were professional, thinking they had our best interests at heart. And it does disappoint me, I have to say, that I still see New Zealand media still being, I mean, corrupted little shits, actually, if I'm going to be completely honest. I started doing this, Erin, and I realized this is annoying me, so I'm going to stop. But what I started doing is, when I would see people writing in newspapers, and I follow some certain newspapers on Facebook, right? And so I would see ridiculous articles of fear-based nonsense written by so-and-so. So I would just go and find that so-and-so's email and just question them in their integrity and the actual sources of this, because I'm concerned that they actually have an agenda to create more fear than actual truth. And so, of course, those many emails never got responded to or answered to, and it kind of bothered me that these people would get paid to just sell shit and fear to to people in my country, and to people around the world. So while I love New Zealand, and I see all of the problems in New Zealand, I also know that it's a worldwide problem for some countries, let's just say. And so that kind of I was looking for the naughty kids to email them and be like, hi there, my friend. Saw this article, blah, 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 and then of course I wouldn't get any responses back, because they've been paid to do exactly what they're supposed to be doing, even if this is a real person or just, whatever, calming myself down. So instead of that, of course, we can't hold people, we try to hold people accountable who are in these professions. And so it kind of just left me annoyed that they weren't going to change, right? So therefore I changed my process in this and my approach. And what I started doing is emailing people who I freaking adore, who are reminding people the truth. Hello, Sue Gray, amazing humanitarian for humanity. She's an amazing lawyer. She does know the law. She shares really great legal advice to all New Zealanders. She is authentic. She is genuine. She is fighting for us to get, this, and I say fighting, it's not, she's holding the law accountable to itself and the politicians. So anyway, New Zealand ran over, but I'm writing to her and loving her and thanking her and being so grateful for her, because so many other lawyers have not wanted to step up to this, because they are really a clicking club. They're a real little clique, the lawyers, and so someone had to stand up, and people are standing up, and I want to praise and support and jazz hands and acknowledge them for that, because it's hard. It is so hard. I mean, it should be easy to stand up to the truth. It should be easy to step up in your profession and be accountable for your knowledge, your skill sets, and actually realize this is bigger than you and your little life. This is actually really impacting potentially a whole country. And so I want to support those people and actually stop feeding my energy, worry, and frustration into the naughty kids that are, giving people disempowerment. Of course, we all know why they are giving people this disempowerment, to be triggered, to overcome it and grow. I can see it from that side, but I still am living a very 3D life. And so, I'm still trying to figure out how the best way I can use my energy per day. And gosh, when I send out love and energy and gratitude to people, I feel all of that. I don't just pretend to feel those words. I feel those words. I put in true integrity into my messages, and when I send them, I know they are going to receive it. And it makes me feel, is this selfish? for me to say that when I send love to people, I feel love. Because, you know, giving love and praise and gratitude feels good, really feels
Mhm.
good.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I'm sure it feels equally or even more better, good, whatever, on the receiving end while fighting that quote battle, you know, going uphill when everyone is doing the opposite, you know, fighting the good fight and standing up for the truth, the law, all the things.
Hmm.
I mean, they deserve all the praise. So I'm sure they appreciate it too. That's amazing. I love that approach.
I fully respect, like say for example, and there's quite a few that are really stepping up, and I can see them. So you know, I've read into quite a few of them, and I just want to celebrate them and their choices, knowing that their choices are really hard, trusting fully that it's their life purpose and mission to be able to give people hope and to be able to give people encouragement and wisdom. But then, of course, people still are so untrusting of the system. They still don't have faith. This is all going to be okay. You know, so they're buying into the fear and worry of, you know, what if it isn't responded well in the High Court? You know, so it's like, well, hang on, just wait until it does. Because it may not. So why are you gobbling up all your good high vibe energy today for something that may not even occur?
Are there big pending court cases that you're talking to specifically, or are you just saying that people are too afraid to even fight, you know?
Let's talk about Sue Gray. So she has taken to High Court some organisations, some associations, and she's representing them to hold the government's mandates accountable. So she worked with airline people, and she's working with midwives, and so she actually. You know, instead of taking individual personal cases, she's taking their sort of like associations to the High Court as a representation. You just need to have one case that sets a precedent for it to be then applicable to all industries. And so it's so exciting. Know your law, people. It is still protecting you. And you know, when I had a real bee in my bonnet, I really wanted to go to our local police station and actually have a conversation with the police person and say, I'm really concerned that I don't want to wear a mask, but there is this, in quotation marks, mandate, which I know is breaching my Bill of Rights freedoms. So, what's going to happen here? Because I don't appreciate being discriminated against. Sorry, I just don't. You know, and I wanted the police officer to be able to explain to me why I should be okay with being discriminated against if I want to go supermarket shopping. And I wanted to hear the police officer explain it to me, why my Bill of Rights suddenly is not applicable in this nonsense.
Let me talk to your manager.
But you know what? Like, and because I wanted to solve it in a 3D level as well as trying to, you know, help the collectives. But, you know, I sort of feel that collectives are like, Joanne, you know, it all needs to play out as it is to awaken those who are still not seeing the agendas here. So while you could go and, you know, be face to face with a police officer, and make them accountable for them reminding themselves and having to speak up. And this is what I'm noticing with a lot of people who work in HR, right? They are having to speak for the mandates, even though they don't believe the mandates, even though they understand the mandates aren't law, they're still having to try and work around that mainframe, and they're having very scared, afraid people coming to them saying, I can't lose my job, my mortgage, my kids, blah, 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 and they knowing, because you're having to, like, we are all heroes on you know, online, right? Being keyboard warriors, don't they say? But actually, when you're having to deal with someone and their emotions, it's a different, you know, it's a totally different scenario. We all think we're going to be heroes and, you know, hold people accountable, but when you're actually face to face with someone, The dynamic is always different unless you're a bulldozer like Erin.
Yeah. I'm like, well, that doesn't seem to bother me. It's interesting. It's all over the board. I just completely ignore it. My whole company is just completely ignoring everything. Well, because it's nonsense, and we're not even discussing it because it's such a nonsense. But on the flip side, I'm seeing other companies, just place large gambles on the fact that all of their employees are going to roll over and do it. And that is a gamble, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like with the threats and like are you going to be fired if you don't do this by this date? It's like, well, good luck with that approach.
Absolutely. And so, as we know from other countries, the mandate dates were always pushed and extended out for, miraculous reasons while they've tried to coerce people to have the vaccines. And, again, your body, your choice, no judgment here at all. My preference is not to be vaccinated myself. I live a life where I don't have to be vaccinated, and I am quite comfortable to live the choices that I've made. But I also know that so many people have been forced into it for various reasons. My heart goes out to them because, no one likes to be forced to do something they don't want to do, especially when they know the risk, especially when they know it's not a natural product, especially when they know that there is another agenda there, especially when they know that people get sick, especially when they know that there is lots of reactions. That's a very heavy burden for many people to overcome. And, you have to have a lot of trust and faith that your team are watching you, protecting you, supporting you, and all that stuff.
It's tough. I've spoken to a lot of people in that spot. It's really tough. And my heart goes out to them.
But we also know, Erin, that so many people have had profound upgrades from it. So,
Yes.
while we are concerned that it may be doing some negative impact, our teams are protecting our bodies and doing the most appropriate thing. And sometimes when you open yourself up and use your free will to have this, you're actually opening yourself up to being upgraded, or you've been forced to be upgraded. Your teams are saying this is enough now, they need to be profoundly upgraded. And what that looks like is heavy metals being ripped out of your internal systems and organs and being flushed out of your body. Yes, that does indeed cause sometimes blood. Obviously, when you rip heavy metals out of your soft tissue organs, like your brain, that will cause a brain bleed. And if you have lots of that, yes, that would be definitely the cause of a stroke. But, there's a lot going on there, and a lot that we've heard and learnt about in public and private sessions. So, take the time that your body needs to recover from this. Drink as much water as you possibly can. Rest. Don't be a hero. Just allow yourself to go with the flow of your body. And keep using your free will to ask for healing, protection, and all that stuff that you have full privilege and rights to ask your teams for. And trust they are doing it. Don't do the whole, please heal me, and then under your breath think, but it will never work. They're not here. I can't see them. This is nonsense. I can't believe I've just asked invisible beings to help me. Because guess what? That sort of, you need to truly set the real agenda and integrity to have healing and be open to healing. And sometimes people go, oh, I asked for healing and now I've got this fucking cold. What the hell? Or I've got a headache. This isn't healing. I've got negative energy now. Oh, it's probably a demon or whatever. And the reality is they've released something that you need to flush out now and release. It's not magical, they're healing. You actually have to purge out and detox. And this is really why a lot of people are having massive reactions, is that detoxing of those heavy metals. When you remove heaps of those heavy metals, your body is actually much more able to be high vibrational. And, most of my clients, when we do sessions, we ask, do they have heavy metals? I ask. And then we find out how. And then we ask if they can be gently removed. If they've got heaps of them, their next few days is going to be hideous, because detoxing heavy metals is not a picnic. It is gross. It's like a hangover without a party beforehand. It is really, really intensive, and it freaks people out because they think, I had that session and now I feel like utter crap. What have I picked up? Oh, must be reptilians.
Ugh, yeah, I had a horrible like day after it. So I got, yeah, it was not pretty, but it was progress, and progress isn't always pretty. But yeah, those sessions, man, so profound, so profound. And again, whatever decision someone makes, like, just feel good about it. Just stay in that, optimism and love, and just know that you're supported. And yeah, continue to ask for help genuinely, and they will genuinely help you in return. You're super loved and supported no matter what circumstance you're in. Just stay in that trust and that love, and there's just so much freedom with that, as opposed to the what we talked in the beginning of, which is like the loop news cycle of doom. I mean, it's so freeing. You will feel 25 pounds lighter because you don't feel that weight on your shoulders. It's so freeing. So just stay in that mindset. Be very protective of that mindset.
Absolutely. And, I think for those people who are being pressurized and harassed to get a vaccine that they don't want, why not have a blood test and see if you've got natural immunity with your antibodies? Check that. Your own natural immunity is always going to be better than some artificial thing. So ask your friends first who are harassing you. If I got that and showed you that I had natural immunity, would you be okay with that? Would you accept that? Would you, get over yourselves? Because, it can be really divisive, and so many families are at war with this. And, I don't know. I love everyone, and I feel
I,
really sorry for those people who have been harassed by their family and friends to do what they want for their bodies.
yes, I actually have a story about that. So, um, again, my family loves me. I made my decision not to do it. Sticking to it. My family decided to do it, and since then, I'm not allowed to see my grandmother. And she, I could point out 1,000 holes in the thought process behind that. But why? Why would I do that? My grandmother is 90. She's in fear. She chose to get it. She's afraid to be around me. I'm not going to make her feel bad or worse. I respect her decision. I did not turn this into a Aaron pity party. I did not stomp my feet. I said, I love you. I respect you. I understand where you're coming from. And that's where it's at. But what I decided that I put my foot down with is this: it's not up for discussion. And my mother is very pro, and was relentless with trying to discuss this with me. And I just told her it wasn't up for discussion. I was very loving about it. I said, I acknowledged that she's coming from a loving place. I I hear you. I love you. And I know you're saying this because you want the best for me. I am 34 years old. I have my own children. I know I'm your baby, but I made my decision and I'm sticking to it. And it's really not up for debate. And she wanted to know sort. I mean, she wanted to poke holes and or justify her decision, but that's just not productive. So I just wouldn't go there. I mean, she brought it up 4 or 5 times. And I just said no. But then also the last thing I'm going to do is upset my 90-year-old grandmother. And if she feels safer not being around me, that's that. And I made the decision to love her and to not hold it against her and not be dramatic and a drama queen. There's just no time for that.
So, quickly unpacking that, both of you probably felt rejected by each other uh, sh- because of your choices. You probably feel rejected by your grandmother because she can't trust or know that you're not going to kill her with some sort of disease that could get her. And yeah, there's also
Well, she's quite ill now, actually. So in her mind, that's exactly how it is. And at first, and you helped me with this. At first, I was devastated because I realized I wouldn't see her again. And I love her, and she's a great grandmother, and my kids love her. But that's her decision. This is my decision. I was able to get over it, and my feelings aren't hurt anymore. I understand her thought process. I don't agree with it, but I understand what she is thinking. And I just think it's really important to stay positive. So yeah, so it has been a bit of a delicate balance, because even with holidays, I'm still making an effort and still being told no, but I just keep saying, okay, I understand, I love you, we miss you, and sending her pictures and artwork from the kids and stuff like that. But I mean, those are the times. Just got to roll with it.
yeah, accepting people's choices can be challenging, especially when it's when it's people that you do love and you don't want to trigger them, but you also don't want to be peer pressured into making the choices they want for you when you don't want them.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
fantastic. Okay, so another thing I wanted to bring up is to those people who we have had sessions with, listen to your sessions again. There is so much information in everyone's sessions, and we forget to listen to our own. And even if it's been a month or 2 months, there's going to be new information for you that you're going to hear because you would have forgotten about it. And so, just like we get told in the public sessions, listen to them again and see how much you've grown and see how much you can actually understand really what they're saying. It's so many people say to me some of the sessions sound like it's quite different information and they're a little bit confused of how it all fits in, and it's the same information just expressed and interpreted in a different way with different words, but it really is the same. So sometimes we get a bit confused about the terms and the definitions and what's really going on there. So try to see how you feel listening back to some of the older sessions that you sort of started with. That will give you a big boost to realize how much you've grown. And then there's another thing I wanted to say. Someone said to me yesterday that they stopped listening to the sessions because they were devastated about exit points for the laser, and it was just horrific and horrible to think of people exiting with this laser, and they really had a problem with it and did not want to listen to the sessions anymore because they are just traumatized by even knowing people are going to have exit points like this. So what do you think my response to them was, Erin?
I think I read your response. Well, first of all, people aren't going to feel the pain, number one. And then number two, these are like contracts. Wasn't that what you said?
Yeah.
And then number three, this hasn't even happened yet. Number four, no one said anyone would actually be in pain.
So they've jumped to conclusions of what it's going to look like, and so therefore they've stopped there listening to the sessions to actually hear what's going on. And yes, I know when we hear the information about the laser the first time, it gives us, terror. And, we still have to understand it. And I feel like we have expressed and explained and explored this in so many angles. We have heard, someone having an exit point with the laser, and they don't even know it's happened. Like in a split second, they've shifted. There is no trauma to the shifting. Just like when I know with many clients where they see water coming or whether they are in earthquakes, they do not feel or are aware of what they would perceive death, because it is not how we, yes, those people watching would perceive your death as a certain way, but your consciousness will not. What is the point of triggering everyone to shift at that, all painful, traumatizing? I mean, that's horrific. That's really Yes, it's a natural fear and worry, but haven't we explored that enough in sessions to reassure people you get pulled out of your bodies before you feel the water, before you notice the earthquakes, before all of this stuff happens, before the laser.
And yes, I absolutely think so. Didn't they also explain, I think they have, that it's the reason why we're listening to this now is so that we can process these emotions and grieve now. And so that when the time comes, we're able to step up. In fact, I'm pretty sure my subconscious made that crystal clear in a few sessions. I myself grieved a lot over it. And I feel very prepared for whenever it happens because I've grieved already, and now I know I'll be ready to be of service, and I won't get tripped up when it happens because I didn't run from the fear of it. I processed it, I grieved it, and now I'm ready. Ready to be of service.
So I think those people who run from processing this still have that lesson to overcome, so it's still waiting for them. If you ignore this and don't process it, it's gonna, there's gonna be a point where you have to. And your teams now have full license, and access to really trigger you to really overcome so much now, because we would rather hypothetically process the laser and the events and process those emotions now than say actually have to I was trying to formulate this. There's so much I've seen in sessions, and I'm just trying to figure out how to word this. So, all the people that have lost pets, right? All those people have been shaken up with the exit points of their pets to do inner work and to accept the death process and a whole lot of stuff and to learn and grow from it, which I then think saves them from experience potentially their actual family members shifting first. So if you have to experience an exit point of someone to feel that grief and overcome it and trust that they are not gone forever, it is simply a life cycle. I really feel in some cases these pets and also processing future events, actually, if we can truly master in the emotions, then we do not have to physically live that through and out. Does that make sense?
That makes sense for sure. I believe that. I also remember hearing that, those of us who are listening, well, it's like contracts. We're supposed to be listening. We're supposed to assist with transmuting and assisting that way. So grieving now and helping carry that burden, that we are contracted to do so. And I certainly felt like I was like, and I did. And whatever comes. I'm not hiding from anything. I process those emotions. I'm ready to go. Like whatever happens. I know I'm super loved and protected, and I'm ready for whatever comes next.
Nice and balanced there. Well done, my friend. Gold star to you.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
well, as we know from sessions, there are people already going onto ships, and they're pretty confused about what's going on, and they're starting to learn and understand. The significance in the events. Still quite baffling to them, but they are being comforted and reassured. And so more and more and more people are going to be, taken on board. I know it sounds woo woo crazy, but this is what we hear in sessions is that, there's a lot more people exiting than we probably are aware of. And, the biggest shift is going to be, noticeable, but those people who are having exit points, they're not, just because we haven't seen the laser or anything else doesn't mean, they've gone to source or they truly have died in what we would perceive as death. Very potentially people who are dying, exiting now, they are going onto the ships. So, there's so much significance to actually what's happening, and It just feels
Oh,
like
yeah.
1,000 pieces to this puzzle, and I feel like we've got all the puzzles into place and all the pieces, and we're just needing to see it all unfold. um, Another thing I wanted to say is DNA. Quite a few influencers have told their listeners that everybody has reptilian DNA in their bodies. Now, that is the case for sure for reptilian starseeds, not for everybody. And those people who are still saying we all have reptilian DNA within us, it is not true. It's not true for all. And so while we are consciously all connected to source and we are all consciously one at the extreme higher dimensional level, we are, some people do not have the reptilian DNA. Those people who have the reptilian DNA will struggle to get to the fifth dimension and will go into other places. But just be reminded and be mindful of big influencers telling you certain things like this and you blindly trusting them. Because one of the influencers was telling everyone to say a mantra, which was, I love my DNA, that's reptilian, I love my reptilian self, blah, 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 blah. And so many people were saying, I'm saying this because she's told me to say this, but I just don't feel like it resonates with me, but I'm terrified that if I don't acknowledge it, then it's part of me not loving myself. And I'm like, wait a minute. Let's just see. Because she was responding and saying, it was basically scaring people because so many people still haven't got neutral with being reptilian, or they're still afraid of being, of reptilians in general. And so for them to be told, you all have reptilian DNA, embrace your reptilian DNA, it made people really scared of themselves. And, there's a lot going on there. But, any questions that you have about this, find your local practitioner, go and have a free session with your interns, and ask these things for yourself and see what your subconscious says. Don't trust the stuff that sounds like fear, that makes you go into fear. And I know that, sometimes, it would be a rare individual that didn't go into fear when they listened to about the laser. So, I know that not everyone can have sessions. And so the information from these public sessions are trying to give you all the information that is needed to be able to process and understand this. So, and also I just wanted to say, someone asked about our belongings. Can we take our belongings to New Earth? And no, we can't. We don't really wear even the same clothes. Our crystalline bodies are so different from our carbon-based bodies. And I know we all love our furniture and our jewelry and our wardrobes and all that sort of stuff. We just cannot take them. There is no need for them. That's 3D possessions. They don't go into a 5D planet. It's quite different. And what else I wanted to say is, so in sessions, one of my clients had always wanted to go to Italy, but was concerned because of all the lockdowns. How could she go to Italy and have a holiday in Italy? And so we asked in sessions, and they said there is going to be a place on the New Earth that is going to represent an Italian feel. And I don't know if it's going to have, perceived like icons and buildings and all this kind of memorabilia. It may be assimilation versus actual shifting buildings over. And I asked in a session recently, would monuments and artwork and all that sort of stuff be taken to the New Earth? And it's not needed. We can represent different things there. So what we perceive as really, iconic and significant and, nostalgic for Earth, it's really not going to be as we perceive it. But then I had another session where Dolores Cannon came in, and she was helping move some of these landmarks that were iconic, and she was moving them somewhere else. And it was like she was totally breadcrumbing me in that session, Erin. It was like 2 years ago when she was she came into the session, and I was like, what are you doing? And she took my client through like a portal into like Big Ben in the UK. And I was like, okay, why are you doing this to my client, Dolores? And and then she was traveling with my client's consciousness all around to these really special iconic places, and she was putting them into a new space and spreading them out more. And I was like, what on earth are you doing? Like, and she just said, you'll find out soon and get excited and all this sort of stuff. So
Aw.
I haven't really explored that more, as in like, well, are you moving these iconic areas to like New Earth? Or because those ships are really huge, I think, and I have had clients that were exploring ships, they could see very clearly visuals on the ships, and they were seeing like museum areas where things were in kind of cases, and there was like a hammer, like a building hammer, and it had hammer earth on it. It was the weirdest thing, but it's like they just having artifacts of Earth that they are, having on their ships as just, is it novelty factors of look at how they were so monkey based with their equipment
I
and
was
tools.
just thinking that too. I was like, you mean kind of like caveman and the wheel? Is that I'm like the kind of vibe I'm getting?
Yeah.
Well, it's not far off.
So, like while we are still sort of pondering these things, um, in the 3D and these lives, really we have to accept all and trust that, the higher dimensional beings haven't forgotten anything or missing anything out, or, haven't covered every single problem. And, they've got it covered. And I think it's those people who want to control everything that's worried that they're going to forget something significant. We can trust the high dimensional beings know what they're doing. They seem very capable to me, and it's those people who are in fear and doubt that struggle with this information. Remember, Erin, sweetheart, when the second session you were like, I want to talk to my higher self and I'm going to teach them something because I've seen this or that, and I can't remember how you were like going to approach it, and I was like, well, that's an interesting approach.
Oh,
Um,
Lord, it was pretty embarrassing back then, that's for sure.
but so real, so normal, and so great for me to see, where people are still at. And we were working so diligently behind the scenes last year. That the people that were listening last year, we all kind of grew together at a point, and then the shift didn't happen, lots of life contracts changed, and then as we have moved forward in each bonus month of this year, lots of people have been activated and have got new contracts now to listen to this work and do things with it, which is usually being support people on the ships or support people on New Earth and all this sort of stuff, and supporting people on the old Earth. So it's super significant why people are listening, but it was so helpful for me to see, and this is the reason why we were brought together, was for me to see someone who is intelligent and is a really well-rounded person who listens to this information, has gone through her big journey of the truth, has gone through her big journey of the spiritualists, and then have found this information and you're processing it through with epic speed. And so it was purposeful for me to see how you were reacting and responding to the content, for me to be able to support not only you, but you are truly representative of so many others who are jumping on the journey with us from this year. So it's beautiful. It is beautiful. So thank you for your service for humanity.
Oh yeah, and now we have all new friends,
Yeah.
which we welcome with open arms, and that makes me so happy. I just love, 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 love seeing people expand and get out of that fear narrative cycle and grow and start questioning it. Just makes me so happy.
I think the end is so perfect. I mean, so many people are embarrassed to sort of say to me, I've only been listening to these sessions for a few months. And I think, God, a few months could be so profound. I know people that have seriously, profoundly woken up after one session. So do not feel embarrassed if you've just started listening. Like
Yeah.
there is, and I think this is where ego comes in. We've all heard, I'm a spiritual advisor, I've been connected in for 30 years, blah, 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 blah. But yet your content is so basic, so out of date, and you're making every new spiritual person feel insignificant and inferior because of your, in quotation marks, wisdom. So, there is no judgment of how long you've been listening to these sessions, because the energy is so intensively beautiful now. It is inspiring so many to be empowered, to grow, to explore, to expand, to be in that balance and neutral. And I am so grateful that I'm not the old Joe anymore. And I'm really proud of my own growth, because, this inner peace and balance, golden, priceless.
Absolutely priceless. I totally agree. And friendly reminder, there are hundreds of sessions that you can go through. So if you are new to this channel and you're caught up on like the most recent ones, scroll back and just see what catches your eye. It's purposeful. It's really purposeful what catches your eye, and you'll find out. I mean, your team is steering you here. That does include previous sessions. So yeah, it's just gold, gold.
Yes, I definitely have covered a lot in sessions. And so, if people are new at this and still confused about a whole lot of stuff, you really have to do your own work to listen through it, knowing that your teams are guiding you to the most significant sessions, and that when you're listening to them talking at that higher vibrational rate, you're actually training your consciousness to be expanded into that higher vibrational rate. Lots of people who start these sessions fall asleep with them and they can't understand why. And they think, oh, maybe my team is protecting me from this nonsense. But the reality is you are being profoundly upgraded. And if you're resisting the information or not matching that frequency, they will get you and knock you out and make you fall asleep while they work on you. So,
Oh, wow.
and so many people were like, I can't listen to them, I just keep falling asleep. And I'm like, fantastic, that's great, because it's kind of like true light language. You don't know what the information is, but you're open to it. Whereas when people are listening to these sessions and hearing about exit points that scare the bejesus out of them, they're not open to it. So then they start resisting it and going into fear. And your team sees that and grabs you from it and lifts you up out of fear. If you are still resisting it and still panicking, they will make you go to sleep.
Yeah. And you'll come back and you won't know why. Life contracts.
I've tried to listen to the session 5 times.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's so funny. Yeah. Oh, I just love it. It's the they covered this one time in sessions too, that because it's coded and it's higher dimensional whatever awesomeness, it's addictive. And I can confirm it is in fact addictive, but for all the best reasons. So it's awesome. I love it. I've listened to every single session.
There's a lot.
I know. I told you I'm a good student.
And like some people assume that all of my clients have listened to the same as well, and it's not the case. Lots of clients don't listen to the sessions because they're just focusing on their personal private sessions and doing their inner work and their homework. And so, so many people assume lazily that all of my clients have listened to all the sessions and that's why they're repeating the same information. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. The subconscious and is getting the same information from the same collectives. And so even if the client, and this is another thing people really need to understand, some of my clients really do not like the information about the shifting to the new earth. They really love their lives here, and this is where they're at. They are not really comfortable with the thought of having to shift. They're not really comfortable with the thought of the laser. That's normal, natural, honest feelings that I fully respect. And so this is why often their questions are, do we really have to move? Is this really a new planet? Can't it just be here? What can you do to help me? Because I want to stay here. That's honest good questions. And I love that it's not me telling them this, it's their own teams out of their own mouths. And that is the next level. You can deny all you want that these crazy clients that Joe has and this crazy nonsense that Joe speaks about is all just whatever. But when it comes out of your own mouth, then you have to do the next step, which is accept it or deny it still, whatever, your choice.
Yep. And I think some people are really, I mean, it's like contracts. They're drawn to this information for sure. And they don't know why, because they are kind of afraid of, it's intense. And they're like, why am I so attracted to this really intense information? Is something wrong with me? The answer is no. The answer is life contracts. The answer is you resonate with. That's why you're listening.
Yeah. And, we can understand that it is challenging to put this all into, when it resonates with us, we must be crazy, right? Because who talks about aliens having to evacuate a planet to be able to help humanity evolve into a different dimension? That just sounds ridiculous. But every time we ask, the subconscious always says the same stuff.
Yep. And we have analyzed it like 6 ways from Sunday. So, and the multi-layered messages too, it still blows my mind. Like with the sessions that we did months ago, after my session with Kitty, I discovered a whole new layer. My Akashic Records reading with Kitty, a whole new layer. Like months later, I'm just like, I'm like, I can't. Wow, it's so cool. It's so cool how they can do that.
And, it's because you've grown since then that you are ready for that next layer.
Yeah, it's pretty profound. It's pretty profound. So super loving this inner peace. Like whatever comes. I'm good. I'm good.
I had a fantastic experience with Carmel yesterday, Erin and everyone listening. And she's just a gift to humanity, seriously. Like, just love that lady. And so we were having a little experience together where we realized that we had asked all of the collectives to help trigger those who needed to be triggered, and that we had asked for those influences to have epiphanies, but we hadn't asked for all to have epiphanies. So they've all been triggered, they're all working through to be overcome that and to learn and grow from that, to then be ready for epiphanies. And so we worked behind the scenes and asked our collectives to then be able to give everyone epiphanies, not just the influences. So exciting.
Wait, when did that happen?
Yesterday.
Oh my gosh, I know someone who had an epiphany yesterday.
It's magic.
Wow.
So
yeah, we talked about this. So wow.
What we realized is that while everyone got these profound triggers of density, to then overcome it and kind of be like, why did I fall into that trap? And now, because everyone's loving each other and really supporting each other in a nicer way than just being so annoyed when people are getting triggered and reacting, we're all just in that balance and neutral, allowing people to be triggered and to keep giving them love and support and all that sort of stuff. Really dawned on me, we haven't asked for epiphanies. Well, we hadn't at that point, and we had to realize, oh my gosh, we missed this, because we have to use the right words and have the right agenda for our requests. And so we can assume we've already asked certain things, but when we actually reflected back on what was actually asked, they could only provide what we asked. We had assumed epiphanies for all, but that wasn't actually the case. And so they gave me a little nudge to think about, actually it was weird, Erin, I thought about your husband and Carmel's husband, and Carmel's husband, And um, and I got the sense that they needed epiphanies. And so I messaged her about it, and we talked about it, and then it was so incredible because she then chose her free will to then ask the collectives to come. So she left me this beautiful voice message, and it was so interesting because when I could feel her calling in the collectives, I instantly started asking them the same thing. And oh my gosh, Erin, word for word for word, we asked the same thing. And I'm getting full body tingles now talking about it. And when they got it, the collectives came in, and then they were like, yes, 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 this is exactly the thing that was missing. And so,
Oh, yay.
yeah, and so it was like, and I'm still getting full body tingles talking about it, but it is really powerful to use our free will to be able to help, and trusting that they're there, trusting that they're listening, and if we have the right intent, we're not asking for personal financial gain or popularity or anything random that's not of what we need, but we're asking the collectives using our free will to actually advance and help, and it is so supported. So we're really,
Yay. So they were so happy.
yeah, oh yeah, like 1,000% happy. And so when you've just had a big triggering experience, and then you've overcome it, and you're kind of working through and trying to figure out, why have I just been triggered, you're in that sort of very fresh state of being triggered and recovering from that triggering, to then now have a profound epiphany. Yes, please.
Amazing.
I know.
And what did you what did you tell me yesterday? You gave me great advice. You told me encourage, 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 leading questions, encourage.
Oh, yes. So Aaron's husband had a dream, and it was very confusing for him. And so it was, my advice to Aaron was, ask him, what does he think that meant, and talk to him about it. And even if he, I don't, sometimes they could put it like, oh, nothing, it's just a dream, it's stupid, it means nothing. But then say, well, just for shits and giggles, what if it did mean something? What do you think it could mean? So ask heaps of questions. And whatever they are responding to, even if it's so bloody obvious that we know it's a spaceship and they're going to a new Earth, and we're like, oh, what could that mean? Um, they will say it's a stupid movie I've seen 20 years ago, or whatever, whatever. And then say, well, what if it isn't? What if it isn't that? But first of all, instead of performing, oh, yeah, it could have been a movie. Oh, yes, yeah, it could have been. So anything that they respond to try and understand their epiphanies, even if it's not quite what is really the truth of their epiphany, always support them with their approaches and opinions when it comes to them trying to understand their epiphany. Like, oh yeah, oh, that's great thinking. That definitely could be a possibility. And then follow up, what else? What else do you think it could be? Because they're so scared of their intuition and trying to understand the significance and the purpose of certain things, that when they start off with something, oh, I don't know, it could be, they'll say a really offhanded response to what the meaning and significance is, expecting us to shake them down or just to disregard them. And so whatever they're saying and sharing their understanding of their own epiphanies, celebrate them sharing that with you, celebrate their ideas. When they realize you're actually open to the nonsense that they are assuming, celebrate it. Love that they're sharing with you and open with you. Because we all know when we are going through trying to understand what is a profound dream or a profound experience, when we try to start sharing it with others and they shut it down immediately, we get shut down immediately. So use this exciting opportunity to really be open to having all conversations and keep expanding on the conversation, because it's a really holding space for them to allow themselves to think about all possibilities of the significances.
Yes. And then I went like full cheerleader mode, like how amazing, like And also I said, think about it from this angle. Think about all the different approaches they've used with you and how much love goes into each and every single one and just how loved you are. And well, I mean, it was a kind of an epiphany kind of a moment and dream. So he was like, wow, yeah, that you're right. I didn't think about it like that. And then just encourage, you know, I anyway, yeah. So I just encouraged him to keep on at it. And, you know, I'm still amazed like at what they can do and, you know, how much love and support we have and that he got again today when he meditated. It's just, it's so cool. So anyway, if that's happening to someone you love, be the cheerleader. Yeah. Open-ended. Don't tell them. I'm really glad Joe reminded me of that because yeah, my bulldozer ways would have like, you know, been like, I'm still here. I'm still here. I know what's going on. But luckily, yeah, this is great advice for all. And happy to get that yesterday. So I was able to, you know, just rally for the teams and connecting in and, you know, showing love and support.
Fantastic. Because I do feel like the small information that I do know about Joe and the small information I do know about Carmel's husband, I really view them as representations of humanity, which is interesting, right? So whatever Joe's going through is really a reflection of, sorry, your husband. It's really a reflection of what others are going through, and so it is a nice like sort of proof, I guess you could say, to see it firsthand because I've only just told you about this now, so you haven't even been privy to that, but you have seen the proof once again how powerful and how impactful this work is.
Oh, it's just it's absolutely incredible. It makes me so happy, so excited to and you know, it's been, I mean, let's be real. It's been difficult me being full steam ahead on this journey and then not having, you know, my husband at the same pace on the same journey, but it's okay. We worked through it, but it's don't write off someone because they're not at the same place you're at. And earlier in my journey, I definitely would have fallen in that trap before I got more mature with my approach. But like there's so much positive change I'm seeing with people that were very closed off to anything of this nature or growth or anything, but there's a lot of positive change. So don't assume someone is who they were, you know, way back, you know, back in their cactus days or whatever that analogy that we use. You know, hold space for them still.
I know so many people that feel so alone with this journey because they feel like they're the only ones that know this information in their lives, and so they're like, I just wish my husband or my partner or my friends were, you know, the kind I've shared some videos they say, but they're not really there, and so they feel very isolated in this journey, and I have, you know, always been reminded. I have seen some friends, you know, listening to their sessions together, and it kind of I have seen in some cases it limiting their growth because they're only sort of prepared to grow at the same rate as each other. And there's like, it's strange when you are doing this journey by yourself, you're full steam ahead, you're only limiting yourself and you're just going for it and using your intuition. When you are doing this journey together as a teamwork, you're both sort of limited by each other's sort of blocks, and so it kind of can be like the three-legged race versus, you know, you literally are in a three-legged race in some regards versus sprinting by yourself. And I've seen this time and time again where, you know, people have been held back from others because they haven't released their inner work, or you know, they are trying to get just to hold the advanced information but refusing to do their inner work for whatever reason. And when we are friends with certain people, it kind of blinds us to their own growth. They're saying the right words, they seem like they are understanding the same level that we're at, but in reality they're still lagging behind because they don't think that the inner work responsibility is them. They don't see that they've got any inner work because they're ignoring the inner work. And sometimes when you find your friends have ignored their inner work, it can, there will be a breaking point, because you energetically are at a higher vibration and they are trying to jump ahead, and their teams are pulling them down to really focus on their inner work and trigger the hell out of them to get to where you are at.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. This reminds me of the whole enabling thing. Don't. Tough love is love when it comes to your friends too. And if someone is spinning and you're just like enabling them by what you think is being a good friend, you're actually not being a good friend. And I know that's really hard to do, but you're not doing anyone any favors, not yourself and not them. So tough love is love too, as a friendly reminder. And although it may seem very isolating, and it is, like-minded people are finding each other, and we welcome all new friends. So we're very excited to have newly awakened or newly spiritually interested people listening. It's so fun.
So many people have had profound awakenings that they feel like they're getting like massive speed bumps, and they're like, oh, it's almost uncomfortable how much I've just like suddenly been aware of everything. And we always ask the subconscious, like, why on earth have you given them like so much information, because it's so overwhelming. And it's like, oh, all perfect. If it's all purposeful, they didn't want to be just slowly given information. They wanted it so profound it stopped them in their tracks, and now they're just focusing on this. And so it's quite abrupt, but the subconscious is like, well, that's what they wanted. And I'm like, oh, that's a wise choice, because I feel I still feel very new with this, and I've kind of been working in this field for over 2 years now, and it still kind of feels like I still feel a very slow pace for myself and my growth. But I can see why I would not have liked to be abruptly shaken out of my 3D.
Oh, and I liked it. So different strokes, different. I found it insatiable. Like I had to get to the truth. I had to get to it, and I found it. It was like a maze or something. I finally got to the end. I'm like, yes, I made it.
Oh my God. I like just like cruising in a nice pace.
The lazy river.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And you were like extreme sport at this, and that's
oh yeah. Yes. Oh yeah. It was fun. It was, yeah, that's odd, but it was, trying to find, like, what's the purpose? Like, what's the point? Like, okay, what's the next step? What am I missing here? What's actually going on? So anyway, this channel has been such a blessing in my life. This inner peace is priceless. So thank you, Jo, for all the work that you have done and put in selflessly throughout these 2 years, which also seems like 20, oddly. I don't know, this whole time thing. It's just getting really weird, but whatever.
Yeah. And yes, well, I love being able to help as many people as I can, obviously, and it gives me so much joy to be able to have grown with this work myself. And I fully hold myself accountable. I do want to be of service. I want to be part of the solution and not the problem. I'm trying to apply this information as much as I can when I'm hearing it too. So I really appreciate all of the love and support, but it's not really why that's not my motivation. I'm trying to really figure out how we best can prepare those who need to be of service for either the old earth or on the ships or on the new earth. This is how our collectives have seen this easier transition versus fully confusion and abruption, and not that many people really been able to support. And with the numbers of true humanitarians, those original souls who are having these physical lifetimes on earth, this is a really significant, important transition for them, and they do need support. It's not just about us holding the energy for them so they can be able to raise their vibrations to be on their journey of holding the fifth dimensional energy, and have those bigger mindsets. Because as your body changes, your mindsets will also change, but it's practicing having the bigger mindsets that's really what you're learning and growing from these sessions. And so, the bodies stay here, my friends. We know it. The bodies stay here, but energetically and consciously, we have to expand. And so that's what we're practicing now. That's what we're moving forward to. And the transition each stage is really going to be so much more special and supportive, because we are processing and getting triggered now and processing all those emotions to be of service when these things occur. Trust. Naturally, the right words and the right support that you can give people. Love is always the key. Don't be afraid. Trust you know how to support others. Trust you know how to love others. Trust you know how to love yourself. These are special times. Each day we have before all the chaos starts is a gift. Use your time wisely. Choose your energy spending wisely. Find those who you love and appreciate them.
Perfecto.
Okay, and if anyone wants to cry over the Haka, please Google it.
Is that the dance, that New Zealand dance where I don't like, it looks like,
Yes,
I don't, okay.
the Haka. It's
Haka.
I mean, it's got different. There's different hakas for different. We do it with the rugby and all that sort of stuff. And I personally haven't performed the haka myself. But observing it and feeling the energy is so strong, and it is so powerful. It evokes really profound nature connections. I can't explain it very well, but those people who see it will get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, it's fascinating. I was watching, I was like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
Because it's such positive energy. It's so unlike the riots that we have. It's like the exact opposite. So yeah, I thought it was absolutely beautiful. So yay.
I feel like it calls on the collectives that are protecting this land, and it is evoking this higher frequency because of the actions and the calling and the whole culture is so beautiful, and the whole Pacific Islands are so beautiful. And of course, it's all come from Lemuria and those traditions and that culture and all that sort of stuff. So it's just it's still got its purity. It's as much as it can be while we're in this very interesting other agenda 3D life.
Yeah. Well, it looks beautiful. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, great chatting with you.
Good. I hope someone gets something out of this. And we only wish everyone the best for their perspectives and their growth, and be kind to themselves as they're still trying to master the third dimension.
Sounds good. I will see you later.
Cool. Bye.